Hi, I'm Colin, one half of the Movie Rankers, and today we're lucky enough to be joined by the talented Jonathan Cheong. How are you today?
I'm good. Just rushed back home for this.
Oh, there you
Honored
go.
to
Well,
be here. Yeah,
thank you very much. I appreciate you
yeah.
taking the time out to have a chat with us. Um, First of all, congratulations with Bullet for Vengeance. We're going to talk more about it later, but you must be over the moon with the success it's had over all the festivals and everything. I mean, it's winning awards here, there, and everywhere, isn't it?
Um, I try as much as possible to bring Singapore action to a more international stage, if I can put it that way, because that's what I've always wanted to do. So I'm happy, not per se it's, I mean, personal glory aside, it's I'm happy because right now that more and more people is um like it's giving attention that hey, actually Singapore has an
Yeah,
action, kind of thing there. Because if not, Singapore is always being seen as like, oh, crazy rich Asian. We always have this stereotype because
right.
Asian, we are only the only country that people like known for Asians to do well in action is like Hong Kong, China, Japan, Korea. I mean, Thailand, Indonesia. Singapore is not really in the mix, and I've always wanted to, change that.
Bring it
So
forward. Yeah.
bring it forward. Yeah. So I'm just glad in terms of that aspect. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see it at the Fighting Spirit Film Festival over here in England, and
Yeah.
I mean the reaction it had there was brilliant. So as I say, it's you're definitely starting your journey to getting in Singapore on the map with the action. I think, aren't you?
Yeah. Just do my best, hopefully able to collaborate with people like you, or other talented filmmakers and see where else can I go with all of this. So yeah.
So how did all this start for you then? I mean, were you a fan of action as a child, or was it something that you kind of got into later in life? Or
I guess as boys, right, we all love all this action stuff when we were young. And then Jackie Chan, Donnie and Jet Li, all this kind of stuff. We were, even watching like Power Rangers, things like that. It has always been as a boy, as a kid. So as my childhood life, I've always been very fascinated with martial art movies, fighting movies, action movies, kind of thing. But it has never crossed my mind to want to do it
right,
because I mean, if I have to be honest, Singapore arts is not encouraged to do here. Not only it's not um not only it's not supported, it's not encouraged. So it's like another level down kind of thing compared to, like, of course, the UK and the US, right, a bigger market. So in Singapore, even just being an actor, it's hard.
right,
Much less wanting to be an action actor, if I put it that way.
yeah,
So it has never crossed my mind, but as a kid, I've always fantasized, like, doing all those imitations and things like that. But I've always loved to perform. I've always loved to express myself through acting because I feel that acting is it's a form of liberation. Being able to be in a character, it's a whole new different world altogether. It's a very special kind of art form, and I've only really decided to dive into this genre when I started acting, and that was in 2016 itself. So I've never exposed myself to acting all along. So in Singapore, right, we have of course the school system in Singapore is different to the UK, right? Singapore, we go through primary school. We start at about 8, 9 years old. Then we go through 6 years of primary school. After which we will go to secondary school, which we start at 13. So some will do 4 years, some will do 5 years, and then once we reach this education system where it's called polytechnic, that's where we go to different courses to what we want to do. So some people want to go into design course, some people want to go film course, and stuff like that. So long story short, basically, every Singaporean kid, if you do have Singaporean friends, they will tell you that primary school and secondary school, we are pretty much everyone is learning the same thing, and we are being judged on this like one main exam, if I can put it into layman terms. So pretty much you holistic development is not um, a very big part of our growth, if I can put that. So it's only when we reach poly, which is me being about 18 and 19, where everyone started to have their own choice of what they want to do in life. that's kind of when I really started to say, hey, you know what, maybe I should start to do acting again. And at that point in time, like I said, wanting to be an actor, it's kind of, to me at that point in time, was pretty mediocre in Singapore because there's so many actors. But when I talk about action, not many people is willing and will do stunts. It's a different ball game altogether. So
So
yeah.
if there's not a lot of options out there, how did you push through with that? Did you have to travel to find a school for
Yeah.
training and stuff like that, or was it all
So
self-taught? Or?
yeah, so here's the thing. Singapore, I might get flagged from some of my haters for this, but Singapore, we actually don't have an official action film in cinemas the whole entire time, only till this year. So if you know about Singapore, right, we are only about less than 70 years old. Singapore is a very small and a very young country. So our film industry is not very big yet. It's growing, but it's not very big yet. So there hasn't been, at the point in time when I started in 2016, there hasn't been an action movie in local Singapore cinemas. Can you imagine that?
I
So
can't know.
yeah. So there wasn't any. I mean, there were stunts, there were stunt teams, there were stuntmen doing stunts for TV dramas in Singapore, which I'm involved in as an actor. But there wasn't like an action cinema. There wasn't like films that are made action movies. There wasn't any made. So at that point in time when I started in 2016, which I was about 18 to 19 years old, I saw the future that our film industry in Singapore is growing, and I want to be the one that contributes to her, like Singapore's action genre. Singapore, we are focused a lot on comedy, um, um, cheap comedy, if I put it that way. There wasn't any much, like, don't even talk about action. We don't really have much thriller films and stuff. Everything is very short film, independent film basis. So I'm talking about the commercialized and the non-commercialized here. So commercialized, we only barely get 1 to 2 local movies a year. Try to imagine that. 1 to 2 local movies a year in cinema. Singapore film I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The bulk of all the other movies are Hollywood movies, Hong Kong movies, right? But right now, Singapore's film industry is climbing up. There are more filmmakers coming up. There are more films getting commissioned. We get to see more independent films, more feature films. But action right now, there's only one in cinemas. And whether or
What
not it's
action?
commercially,
What action
yeah,
film is that at the moment? What
it's
is that?
called Deleted. It's basically a Singapore and Malaysian co-production.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get flagged for this, but I don't think that is a pure Singapore action film because it's heavily focused in Malaysia.
Well, I mean,
So
they're taking steps to move forward with it. So
yeah,
even it's,
no
you
doubt,
know,
no
I mean,
doubt.
it's all positive, isn't it?
Yeah, so I guess to answer your question, it's um I I didn't want to just be a stuntman. I didn't want to just be a choreographer, right? Because Singapore industry is really small.
Hmm.
Um, I saw that if I am able to make my own action films, then I don't have to wait for people to give me any opportunity. So that's how I decided that, you know what, if I'm going to make action films, if I want to be an action star, I can't possibly wait for the industry to give me any chance, given the industry is already so small, right? And there isn't any market for action. So I decided that, hey, why not I create a market? Why not I become the market? I create this thing where people say, oh, Singapore can actually do action. Who is this guy? Something like that. Because Singapore, the reason why we don't have a lot of local Singapore movies in cinemas is because the investors, because remember, like I said, Singapore society, we are not focused on arts, as I mentioned very at the start. So a lot of investors will not invest in a local movie, not so keen per se. So much less action, because action will not get clearance here in Singapore because violence is not, can I say, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
So a lot of our TV dramas in Singapore, I don't want to put it that way, but if I have to be honest with you, it's like it's kind of like kind of action, because
Right.
no violence, that kind of stuff. So that kind of restricts a lot of creativity and a lot of filmmakers and arts person in Singapore here. But for people like me, and I like those action fights, So
So does that limit what you can put out then if action's kind of frowned upon, or is this kind of why you're trying to get more of a name abroad as well as?
I think the issue, the question you're asking me has a lot of things to unpack.
Yeah,
I think the issue for me, what I thought at the moment why I want to make my own films, it's because I feel that the reason why people are not investing, there are people like me who wants to make action films. There are also stunt people that I worked with in Singapore.
yeah,
The reason why action films are not made, or the genre is not even heavily like gone into, is because investors don't believe that there's a talent in Singapore.
right.
That's the first thing. They don't believe there's a market, because market and demand, right? Like, I be honest, Singaporeans actually don't really like Singapore films. Okay, this is another topic altogether, right? But so there's a lot of problems. So we are talking here right now. We are talking here not just only about talent. We're not just talking about market. We're talking about a lot of economical, societal problems, issues, I would say, that make Singapore not have our own action films.
Right.
So why I'm making it is solely because, like, if the market in the industry is like there's no investors because they don't believe there's talent, people are not watching, that kind of stuff. So I realized that why not just make first and then show to Singaporeans, firstly, I show to the Singaporeans that, hey, there are people making action films in Singapore. That's the first part. And the second part is to show to the investors that, hey, there are people making action films. So I kind of try to hit both sides at the same
But
time.
that's quite a positive thing that it's been successful in all these festivals, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
investors are going to eventually see that, oh, actually, there is a market for that out there.
yeah.
And so what's the reaction been to people at home that have seen your stuff? Has it been?
You're talking about family members, or you're talking
Yeah,
about
well, just
industry people?
anyone you've shown it to for any festivals that are around there or in Singapore or anything like that, anything you've kind of, I don't know if you've had it
Okay,
premiered out there and stuff like that already or not.
okay. So obviously at the start, when I first started, our film industry is not really up there yet, if I put it that way, Singapore industry. So a lot of people told me to give up. Actually, they said, action won't work. You know, they are saying that you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. The industry is so small, there's no market for this, no one is watching your films. That's the kind of stuff I'm getting, right? But only not because of the festival stuff I got, but because recently in the last 1 year, um, we have, let's just put it there, we have more local movies shown in cinemas, and more local, let's just say, distribution companies in Singapore for films is giving more opportunities to young filmmakers. So it's kind of growing. So people are more like, oh, hey, you should continue doing action because you might be the one that's doing action next time. So there's like, I saw the change. It was a gradual change, but at the start was horrendous because no one was watching. People were saying, it's bad and stuff. I mean, family members and friends would be like, okay, like just do your best kind of thing. They're just watching because it's me. But only in recent times that I have people that are not my friends and family per se, that I started getting messages saying that, hey, oh, Singapore has an action film going on, blah 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 blah. So it's kind of changing, but in
That's
a very
that's
slow way. Yeah,
well, slow growth is better than no growth, isn't it? So there you
yeah.
go. It's kind of good. So with regard to that, back to your martial arts training, then, what sort of stuff are you training in there? Is that quite easy to? Is there many classes and that in Singapore, and how you got near
No,
you and stuff?
martial. Okay, so like I only really started train. I'll be honest, I only really started training martial arts when I started acting and filming. So
Back in
all at the same
2016,
time.
yeah.
So it's about 2016. I started with taekwondo first, and then I couldn't keep up. And after which, okay, so in Singapore, we have to serve national service, which is military service, is mandatory. So I took a stop because I had to serve my 1 year, 10 months of mandatory military service. So after coming out from service, then I started with boxing, Muay Thai, a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I started Chinese martial arts, Chinese Kung Fu. And that's pretty much about it. Singapore is kind of like, it's kind of like extreme man on the pole. Like, I mean, if you know, one championship is in Singapore. So Muay Thai and boxing is kind of like the modern day thing where youngsters and people like to learn, but it's very recreational for them. So when I'm talking about real hardcore martial arts, like for example Chinese Kung Fu, it's getting lesser and lesser.
Oh, right.
So the martial arts scene in Singapore, like I said, it's not okay. Let's just put that arts, anything that has the word arts, right? Filming, singing, dancing, music, whatever, right? It's not at the very commercialized phase in Singapore. So anything you do in Singapore that is arts related, let's say you want to be a full-time boxer, people will be like, oh, okay, like it's not gonna be on. Let's just say it's not gonna be on a commercial front. So yeah, if that's to answer your question. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So moving on to the filming then. After
yeah.
that, what was your you've done six shorts, 6 or 7 shorts,
Nine short
and 9
films,
now.
right?
What was the first one? How did that all come about? And did you have quite a few challenges trying to get it off the ground?
Yeah, that was one of the most challenging time of my life. So I started making the first film is called Road Cop.
Yeah.
So in 2015, like I mentioned, I entered Polytechnic, and then I was like, no, I want to be an actor. I told myself I want to be an actor, but I was like, I didn't want to be like just an actor, kind of thing. I decided that I want to be an action actor. I want to be like what Donnie Yen, what Jet Li, all these people did. So I say, you know what, I should make my own films. But at that point in time, I wasn't from film school. I didn't even know how to operate a camera. So it was just me whom doesn't know anything, just YOLO. I just went into it. So I started to ask friends for help, friends that are not from the film industry, friends that don't know anything about filming. I asked friends for help, I asked for favors, I went to the library to borrow books, research, whatever. And then I took about 1 year, like I had the original cast members, and then I had to change the entire original cast members to a new set of cast members.
Right.
So because there wasn't any money involved and there was bad planning, because at that point in time I didn't know what to do. Right. I mean, it's like imagine asking you to plan a Halloween event from the start, but you have no experience in event planning. It's pretty much that way. So I took one whole entire year to produce that short film. I didn't even know how to fight. I didn't know how to action choreograph. I didn't know how to operate a camera. So nothing. Basically, I didn't know how to do anything. All I just know is I want to act. It's like a very it's like a kid. I just want to act.
Well,
So I just
I watched
yeah.
Robocop. It's available on YouTube now. It's
Uh, yeah.
well, for everything what you've just said, all the effort that's gone into it, I think you've done very well with that, especially from someone having no experience to be able to put something like that together. It's a great starting point, that isn't it?
And if I may, big ups to all those people that were inside, because if you notice, all of those people are actually my friends,
Right.
whom is like just helping. So the acting is kind of cheesy if I put it that way. You were and but they were there at the start of my career. So I've never forgotten this group of people. Some have let's say, not became friends anymore. Some have became lifelong friends.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the up and down kind of thing. But that's pretty much how I got my start. But yeah, man.
So from Road Cop then to the second short you done, did you have any formal training in
Yeah.
between those, or was it
So it was only after the first film
right?
that I realized that, I mean, not that I realized that, I feel that, okay, I need to get into proper martial arts training because my moves, I couldn't even throw a proper punch. If I get to be honest at that point in time. Everything was just what I saw on the screen. And if you actually watch Road Cop properly, it was a copy from Eco's Raid 2. If you okay, yeah, so it was like, oh shit. Honestly speaking, the Raid was like the reason why I kind of like started to make Road Cop. I mean, I like Donnie Yen a lot, but because all these Hong Kong action films feel very distant. It's like, oh, high, big budget and stuff. But the Raid, like the way they did, like they show the choreography process, they show all this, it makes you feel that, hey, you can also be that as an indie filmmaker. So that was like the reason that kickstarted me to say, hey, I should make my own action film. So kind of like Road Cop was a little inspired by that. Yeah, but to go back to answering your question, so yeah, after the first film I did, then I said, okay, I should take up martial arts, right? I mean, your moves will be better that way. At least you can kick proper and punch properly, which is like the basic of a
Yeah.
stunt actor, right? So I say, okay, so I went to take up taekwondo. So that was when I first started to take up taekwondo at that point in time. So I had to work part-time jobs, and I had to pay for my own fees because my parents at that point in time didn't support any of the thing I was doing. So all those money that is put into filming, all those money that was put into martial arts, I had to work part-time jobs to pay all of those. So imagine those stuff plus my schoolwork,
Yeah.
everything had to come together. So I know it sounds like an excuse, but sometimes it gets a little bit like burnout, like a little bit tiring. You know, some people say, hey, you're not training as much and stuff like that. But like I don't have those kind of privilege where like I have a rich family where they can, keep giving me money, if I put it that way, to do films. I had to earn and film and then study, and then everything all came at the same time. So but it was those tough times that kind of made me come out of it.
I'm sure it's got to make
So
you more
yeah,
passionate for the,
I
all the effort
guess
you're putting into it.
I guess it kind of makes me more stubborn because like stubborn in the sense where like I don't give in to failure so easy, because if I can go through all those odds, then what is stopping me, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so taekwondo is pretty much what I got into. So after which, when I go into taekwondo, then I met this guy who is from the same taekwondo class as me, and then he happened to saw my first film, and he was like, "Oh shit, we can make something together." So my second film was made with him, kind of like a thing. So he got his friends to help. So that's kind of where like I would say I started to meet people whom like-minded people. Like he has his friend who likes to film and he wants to, that kind of stuff. So it kind of brings that to my second film. Yeah.
And then, so I take it budget wise and stuff. So you had to try and pack everything down. Well, I mean, it was all on your shoulders, wasn't it? Locations, everything like that.
Yeah.
So
So
with regards to the stress of that, how did you find the process of making these shorts? Is it, 'cause there's a lot on your shoulders. So how do you have you started putting a team together behind you that's kind of helping you out with this, or are you literally doing with the entire
I
project?
literally like I had to do everything on my own. Um, there was a lot of, okay, I would say if I can sidetrack a little bit, there was a lot of hiccups, right? I mean, as everything that we do in life, there will always be hiccups. For me, I guess for myself is that because I'm always very focused, and I'm blessed that God gave me this like passion. Like one of, okay, if I can sidetrack a little bit, you can catch me back if I lost. So I'm Chinese, right? And in all Chinese will have names that have 3 letters. So the surname obviously following our dad and all our ancestry. Our middle name follows all our cousins. So it's only actually the last character of our name is different from um, everyone else. So my name has a special character that has the word fire in it, if I translate it to Chinese. And at that point in time, I was asking my parents, like, I say, why do you give me this word? Why is there like a fire word inside my last character in my Chinese name? And my mom and dad said that because we want you to do everything with passion in life. So that's how I named my production Beijing Fire Productions.
Yeah, I
So
wondered.
since young I've always had this like stubborn, fiery passion. Like if I set sight on something, like nothing can stop me. I was so laser focused in whatever I do. So because I was so focused in my goals, that I feel that that is the thing that kept me going always. Like find my own crew, find my own location, props, choreograph my own fights. And at times, because when it gets tiring, right, I keep telling myself it's not meant to be easy. Because if it's easy, anyone can do it. That's kind of what I always tell a lot of people. Like if making films is easy, everyone is a filmmaker today. But the fact is because it's so hard. And that is why making films is so beautiful, because it's so hard to do. So every time it gets hard, I'll tell myself that. So I just keep going and going and going, and then one film after the other, and as each film you learn more, you meet more people that wants to help you. So it's kind of like a momentum kind of thing.
Kind
And
of
the reason why,
networking.
yeah, it's kind of like networking. Like the reason why I'm able to like I'm blessed to be able to make 9 short films in the span of 7 years in my career is because each time I'm doing, there are people who be like, I've seen your stuff, can I help you? Oh, I've seen your stuff, can I collaborate with you? You get more and more of these people that appear. And you get, and one brains become two become four, it multiplies. So it kind of gets easier, but it also still gets harder because the level is going up and up and up. It's kind of different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say it's because I'm stubborn and I'm laser focused. And if I can say one last thing, obviously I'm not stereotyping everyone. Like I'm 25 this year, turning 26. I feel that like my generation of people, like the young people, I don't know, do you call those like Gen Z? Okay, I don't know what's the name for for my generation of people, but I feel that my generation of people, the young people, um I read this quote. They say that one of the biggest reasons why young people these days will fail is because they don't have the patience to succeed. They want instant results, they want instant gratitude, which is why if something is not working on the spot, they give up immediately. Which is why when we see all this current trend of TikTok and stuff, we have people who is just sudden famous and gone. Sudden. Everything is about quick. Like I don't know if you can get what I'm trying to say.
I do.
So
Yeah, I
because
do
of
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so because of my generation of people that is always like that, I tell myself that I can't be. I want to be the one that slowly spawn, slowly build my stuff. So one film at a time, one thing at a time, even if it takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, one day. It's like a tortoise and a hare kind of race here. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I've watched Road Cop, Rebound, and Deadlock, and obviously the movie.
Yeah.
You can see the progress you're making in each of these. Each one gets stronger.
Thank you.
Through from out of all your shorts, other than Bullet for Vengeance, what have you learned the most out of? Is there anything you've kind of picked up? Any skills or anything that you've kind of picked up and learned, or even with choreography and stuff like that you all do? Has there been
What have
anything that's kind of? Has there been anything in any of the other ones that you've had a massive learning curve with?
Okay, this might not be the answer that you're looking for. But after making like 9 short films, uh, in 7 years, fortunately, one thing that I learned is that making films, it's making films with others or working with others in the context of filming has a lot to do with timing and fate. I think that a lot of people, what I learned is that you can have a lot of brilliant ideas. Someone can share a lot of brilliant ideas with you. But if the timing and the energy don't connect, the film will never come through. So all these years, these people that I've worked with, magically, if I put it that way, I have always, we have always connected at the right time. If I give you one example, you have seen Bullet for Vengeance, right? Um, the guy in Bullet for Vengeance, the villain in the Bullet for Vengeance, his name is called Gary. I knew him in 2018. That was when Deadlock wasn't even out yet. I think Collision was just out. The Collision was after Rebound. That was even before my military service. And Gary was like, hey, I've seen your stuff. That was in 2018, right? He was like, hey, I've seen your stuff. It's so cool. I want to work one day with you. And then all I answered him was, sure, we shall see when fate aligns. That's kind of like the word I always throw in. And then 3 years later, we work together. So to me, it's like I feel that it's some things. What I've learned throughout all these years of filmmaking is really not about you working with the most talented person, you working with the most best director or whoever. It's a lot of to do with the timing, the energy alignment, the fate, the at the moment kind of thing. It's like if I didn't, like, for example, if I'm gonna work with you in a film right now, like for example, I said, oh, Colin, I want to head to the UK to make a film. We might not make the film now. We might make the film 5 years later.
Yeah.
But who knows? but 5 years later, you
It's,
and I will be different person. Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of like a very, yeah, it's a very universal kind of thing, which I can't explain. So
no, I do get what you're trying to say. Fate has a
yeah,
lot to do with
yeah,
how everything aligns and that sort of thing with
yes,
it all.
yeah. So that's kind of what I majorly learned about in my many years of filmmaking. So it's really not about the best person. I mean, if I could sidetrack once again, Gary isn't a stunt person, but I personally feel that Bullet for Vengeance amongst all my films has the best fight scene.
That's the
So
strongest one I've seen. Yeah,
yeah,
by
so kind of what gives like logically it doesn't make sense because he's not trained in stunts, but how? So it's a lot of things has to do with really timing, everything. So that's what I learned. So I feel that anyone who wants to make films, just flow with it first. I
yeah.
mean, things will fall in place when the right thing will fall in place, and yeah, and that's what I learned and realized. Well, yeah.
Okay, well that actually brings us nicely on to the Bullet for Vengeance. How did this all come about? This one, I mean, this is your idea, or do you have a writing partner, or
So I have a writing partner, but the idea was started by me, and we can't not talk about Bullet for Vengeance without talking about Donnie Yen. So the
I
man
did
is my idol.
I did notice the
Yeah,
nods in there. There was a lot of tribute in there to him.
there was a lot of tributes. So like I mean, Donnie Yen is my biggest idol and role model in this industry. Um, it's kind of one of the reasons why I started uh my career as an action person as well. So I mean, like if you're a fan of someone, you will always be watching all of their stuff. So uh, Bullet for Vengeance, I wouldn't say Bullet for Vengeance is a fan film. It is not a fan film of him. Bullet for Vengeance, it's my version of a love letter to him because of all these years of inspiration that he has given me and all the movies that I was fascinated with him with. But at the same time, like I mentioned, because I didn't want it to be a fan film, right? Because if it's a fan film, then it's kind of pointless. Because, like what Bruce Lee said, don't try to copy someone
Yeah.
else. So what I'm taking is just my inspiration of him, but the story itself is still something which is made and written as it is. So as much as the idea was started by me, I had my writer, which is the director, which is Raphael Lim. He's the one that wrote generally the entire story about it. The little stuff that you saw about, I mean, the glasses, my character's name and stuff like that, those were my choices. And
Right.
of course, because I'm the action director, so obviously I went with Donnie Yen's style of action. I try to get the inspiration from there. So I would say it's my idea, but it's written by the director. Yeah.
So, what? It's not released to the general public yet, but
Yeah.
what can you tell us? Well, can you tell us the premise of the short, and or is that going to spoil too much?
I guess I have always been already showing like little bit by little bit, bits and pieces of stuff on my social media, which obviously you have seen. And people definitely already know about my love for him. So I think that what I wouldn't say what can we expect. I would just say what I hope uh general people not have. So this might not be the answer you want to hear. Also, it's what I want to say is that I hope firstly it's for like whoever that's gonna see the film not be, oh okay, this is a fan film. That's the first thing I hope people not take that as. And secondly, it's not to hope that the standard is gonna be like him, because I can't be him. I won't want to be him. Because usually when we have this kind of stuff where we do a film based on someone that we are inspired by, uh people tend to draw comparisons to see how similar it is, you know. For me, it's just I hope that people don't have that, because at the end of the day, I'm still me, I'm still Jonathan. I'm just making a film that has inspiration from him. It's the same as when he did Special ID, when he did Enter the Fat Dragon. All of these are inspiration from Bruce Lee, but people don't see the Bruce Lee. They see the Bruce Lee element in him, but they will not take Donnie Yen out of him. So I hope people have that same thing as well.
When I watched it, I've
Yeah.
got to say I didn't look at it like that at all. I just picked up on the little nods there
Yeah.
to get through it. So I'd say I think you definitely achieved it. With the short, how long did that take to film then? Was that spanned over? Was that did it take a while, or did you film everything all at once? Or was that planned out over a year and stuff like that?
So we took about 8 months to plan the entire film for that. The action choreography training, preparation for the location, the props and everything. Filming itself took about 4 days, spread out across 2 weeks. But I think what I would love to point out is that I'm using a Singapore context once again. So the fight scene in Bullet for Vengeance, we shot just a fight scene. That means the talking scene before is not counted. The fight scene itself, from the first hit that we shot till the end of the fight, we took about 18 hours to shoot. And I'm not sure about the context of UK, but in Singapore, no one has ever shot a fight scene for more than that kind of hours before. So I'm kind of like pushing a certain envelope here in Singapore. Yeah, if I put it that way, I wanted it that way as well.
So with regards to rehearsal, and
yeah,
the choreography side of things, how
yeah,
long? Because you choreographed it as well, didn't you? And,
yeah, I choreographed the fight.
So from the start of that, how much time did you have for the rehearsal? Even though you had the 18 hours shooting, how long was rehearsal time for that? Did you
Oh no, we
did
shot.
you previs and stuff like that or not?
Okay, no, we didn't previs. So what we did was, because Gary himself, like I mentioned, he wasn't a stuntman, right? And he wasn't a martial arts trained. So I kind of had to train him basic martial arts for 1 month. So big ups to him. This is his first fight scene of his life.
It's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really impressive. And I had to train him, and he trains really hard on his own. And subsequently, when we were doing the choreography, just like how Donnie did his fights, okay, doing Donnie Yen's kind of fight scene is already hard among stuntmen. Not to mention that Gary is not a stuntman. So it's even harder. But what I try, like I said, once again, it's not to copy, is to get an idea. So not to spoil much, but for those who, for you who have seen it, you, for example, would have known that one of the elements I took from was from SPL. So one thing that Donnie Yen likes to do in his fight choreography is that he will do improvisation kind of fights. So it's not the typical like I hit you block, like not that kind of stuff. He will do points. He will be like, I will hit you twice, but I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to hit you. So he likes to do those kind of improvisation, which draws a lot of realism in his choreography. So as seen in Flashpoint, as seen in SPL and Raging Fire, and as what he did. So I try to bring that similar quality to Gary, and that inevitably brings up his game as well, even though he's not a stuntman. So it kind of brings up the whole thing.
Doing that adds a little bit of realism to it as well. If he's not knowing where he's going to get hit, he's got to keep on guard.
Yes. So if I'm not going to spoil it, but if you have seen, like you say, because you've seen Bullet for Vengeance, the part where, let's just say, the weapons part.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That weapons part was completely improvised. So he tried to hit me.
Wow.
Yeah. So he said. Also, I told him, you just try to hit me, and I try to hit you back, but defending myself, and I'll hit you. You try to hit me. So it's like kind of like fencing, kind of thing. So it's a lot of inspiration from Donnie Yen. The hard part is directing where the camera goes. I think that's the hard part, because the cameraman doesn't know where we're gonna go. Yeah, so it's
so you didn't do no run throughs with where to shoot or anything like
that. No, it's more of like, I tell the guy, we're gonna move here, here, here. Just follow us. I'd be like, okay, they just follow us. So there were times where he couldn't follow us. We had to do it again. Right. Like, oh, okay, I kind of know where you're gonna go. So I kind of wanted it to be that way. So it's raw. So it's very raw. It's not the typical like, I hit you, block, boom, kind of thing. Because sometimes and one of the dangers of all those kind of stuff is if it's done nicely, it will be nice. But the danger is that for people who are not trained, okay, I hope I don't get flagged for this, but sometimes overtraining is not good because it becomes too choreographed. Like before the punch comes, the person has already blocked. And I noticed that in a lot of like newcomers or those who just started stunts. So which is why I told Gary to not do that, and I just told him to use just as a typical human being, how would you block me if I'm gonna hit you? And then I kind of like want to draw that out. And because of me doing this, thanks to Donnie Yen's kind of action choreography designs, I started to see why Donnie Yen movies is so good. Because he really brings out that realism in his fight.
It's a realism with Donnie Yen,
Yeah,
especially in his later stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very it's a very like something which I'm like, wow, like I'm just mesmerized. Like I'm like, okay, no wonder I like it so much. Like Flashpoint, for example. You talk about Flashpoint, if I can, the final fight, right? I even until today, no one can emulate that.
No, I mean, to be fair, I think with Flashpoint, the reason that film's so successful is for that
That
final.
fight. Yes.
I mean,
Correct.
that's just that's kind of regarded now, I think, as one of the most,
Yeah. Top.
Yeah, it's one of the top fights of modern time.
Yeah, it's of Chinese cinema and modern times. So if you
Yeah,
look at it, it's very raw, but of course, as we said, behind the rawness, behind all these things, behind all this amazing artistic output, comes with a lot of price to pay. So there's a lot of time to shoot. So I think that a lot of times where like if I can talk about Scott Adkins for once, right? Like I've seen some of his interviews where he said that what Accident Man only take 3 weeks to shoot, right? Like stuff like that. So I guess it's like if you're aware, the final fight for Flashpoint, if I could get it correctly, the final fight took 2 weeks to shoot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I feel that sometimes where it can't be blamed as well. So sometimes when I see like stars like Jackie Chan, when I see stars like Donnie, and he's able to emulate such a good action. I mean, of course they are talented, not to say they're not, but also because they have so much time to do those kind of things.
I think with regard to someone's name and the budget for film and all that sort of thing, you get more freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott has said many interviews that it's the lower budget stuff that
yes,
you've got to cram too much in for not cram like a 12-week shoot into 3.
Yeah.
But well, the trials and tribulations of trying to make something with no budget in no time.
Which is why I respect Scott so much, because he's able to do so much when the odds are against him. Basically everything is against him.
Yeah.
Like I said, the time, the budget, and he still has to impress people with his fights. It's crazy. Which is why when I did the fight scene for Bullet for Vengeance, I specifically put that amount of hours into the fight scene, because I know that really time is money. We all know that. But when you give that enough time, you coverage more shots, things just get small because you have more time to accomplish that much.
If that's what sort of audience you're trying to reach, that's the section you've got to put more effort into, I suppose, as well, isn't it? If you want to be kind of seen as an action star when it comes down to the fight scene and things like that, you've got to kind of maybe not so much, I guess, kind of focus a bit more on that, if that's kind of how you want.
Okay, you can say that, but I guess for myself, because action is just something that I started with, I bumped into, but I'm an actor and opening up myself to anything. But I think, if to answer your question, as an action star, it kind of depends on which point you're looking at. Like people like Jackie Chan and Donnie Yen, they have a very distinctive style, and they want that style, and bless them that they are able to bring that style. Not every action stars is able to have their style shown on screen. If you get what I'm trying to say, it's not because they don't have the talent, but because they are just not allowed to.
Yeah.
In kind of thing. So Donnie and Jackie is because they produce their own films, so they get to say, they get to control how long and stuff like that, which is why they are able to, which is kind of why I realized that when I make my own films, I'm able to emulate my style, because you have the say, you have the control, you have the power to decide. So I guess as an action star is one thing is that, but I think one thing which you can agree, because you also do stunts yourself, is that people, it's normal. Like for example, when Scott is fighting against someone, people look at Scott, a general audience, right? But I think one of the things that people don't realize is that the person he's fighting is just as good as him. I always say this to a lot of people. I always told a lot of people, like for example, people say, "Oh my God, Jackie Chan is so good," blah 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 blah. People say all this, but I'm like, he's good, yes, but he's good because
People
the
around.
people that are fighting him is good as well.
Yeah.
Because if you don't catch his timing or his tempo, he's gonna look terrible.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, I think the one that's getting beaten up, or let's just say the stuntman that's getting beaten up against all these action stars like Iko, Tony Jaa, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Scott Adkins, whatever, they are not giving enough like like um
Recognition.
recognition, yeah, to those that are getting beaten
Yeah.
up, because those that are getting beaten up is following their tempo. Like any one wrong timing, boom, people be like, oh, okay. People, like, if there's one wrong rhythm that's wrong, people be like, oh, Jackie Chan is bad. But it's not because it's bad, because his stuntman is bad. They didn't catch the timing. So I think they are lucky. These people are all blessed. I mean, Scott is also blessed that the people that they're always fighting with can match their speed. Their speed, yeah.
I think it's kind of what team you have behind you, isn't it? That kind of
Yep.
as well. You're
Yeah.
you're picking, let's say, you're networking now. You're finding more and more.
Yeah.
That's
so
kind of making your life a little bit easier when it comes to.
Yeah. So which is why if I may say, which is to add on to that, why I said, and I think you can agree that I feel Bullet for Vengeance has the best fights amongst all of the other fight scenes I've done. Not to say the others are bad, okay?
That's why you can see the progress through everything.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch everything that you've done, you can kind of see the progress how you've got to with Bullet for Vengeance.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I want to say, it's like you talk about action, being an action star, and the ones getting hit don't get enough recognition, is one of the reasons why I feel like Bullet for Vengeance, I also personally I like the fight amongst more than all the other fights I've done. Not because the other fights are bad, not because I spend more time here, but it's because Gary is following my tempo, if I say. Because he's not, he's like a loose sponge. So he's following my tempo. But the others that I fought, they have their style. It's nice, but when it doesn't match, it feels very odd. If you know what I'm trying to say.
I do understand. Yeah.
Yes. So
the flow of this fight has worked more than some of the other stuff.
Yeah, and it's because he's following my flow. So that's when I realized that, okay, it's nice because you're following my flow. So it doesn't matter if you're stunt trained or not. If you're following my flow, then it's nice. But it's not like a narcissistic thing. It's just what is the outcome that you want. If you have like your style, for example, if I'm fighting against you, you have your style. I will have my style.
Yeah.
But the tricky part is, how can your style and my style come together and still make us look good? It's always that tricky part. So yeah.
I guess that's why it works. You, as you say, you trained him for a month or so beforehand to basics. You know, if you're training him and then you're picking up on that anyway. I mean, sparring and stuff is all just along the same sort of lines there, isn't it? Awards, man. This, I mean, how many festivals has this been entered into now?
I think it's about 7 film festivals.
Right. And that was a conscious decision for you to put it forward for all those, and then obviously you come over here to the Fighting Spirit Film Festival.
Yeah.
What was that like, the experience of coming over here? Obviously meeting.
Yeah.
I say it on nearly everything, but that festival over here, I think, is kind of one of a kind. There isn't many festivals over here dedicated to action. And the team, they always put together a great event, no matter where they do it. How was the experience for you coming over here and meeting everyone?
One of the best things is to meeting you.
We briefly met there, didn't we?
Yeah, we briefly met, and that's why we are here talking, right?
Yeah,
so I think it's so great. I mean, it's like London, right, was like my first time in Europe was in 2016. And that was to London. That was for a school trip. My second time to Europe is for this festival.
Right.
So I'm not someone who frequents Europe. So going to Europe is already a big thing. It's like, oh, I'm a huge football fan. So I actually went to London for football as well. Chelsea supporter here. So uh, and then to go there to see your film there, and then to meet so many like-minded people, because like once again, like I said, arts is not very accepted here in Singapore. So imagine going to a place where everyone loves action, everyone it's like a nerdish group of people coming
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's there
it's
for
like
the same thing.
yeah,
So
everyone's there for the same thing. Everyone like appreciates your stuff because, and I have to say, when I went back to Singapore, right, I brought this energy back with me from London, and I'm gonna make my next action film now, which I'm flying to London again this year.
yeah,
Like, yeah, the energy is just insane. Like here, and I say energy, I don't mean loud energy. I mean just the positivity, the motivation that people have. Like for instance, like I have people telling me like, oh, I saw your fight. Like there is this, like people are appreciating the little details. But like if I have to be honest, like because action is not big in Singapore, because Singaporean audience, we when we watch action, we just oh okay, it's good, it's good, it's good. But there's no depth to what we are watching. People like us who stunt people, when we watch action, we kind of know what's good and bad action, if you know what I'm trying to say. So we kind of can see the details, right? So when I show like my friends or my family members, they were just oh it's good, oh it's nice, but they can't go into details about things. They'll be like they can't see the little details. So only through like fighting spirit, I have people telling me, oh okay, I saw this stuff that you do. It's kind of like what Donnie and did. And I was like, oh, yes, because that's kind of what I want to go for. So I meet people whom, let's put it simply, really knows appreciating a craft is one thing. They know what they are talking about. Like they know because they've been watching. Sounds like a bunch of nerds coming together. Yeah.
this that's one way of putting it. I suppose.
Yeah.
But so the
Yeah.
reaction you had, I mean, from what were your highlights from the festival? Was it just seeing yourself up on the screen, or was it? I mean, you met the Kirby brothers there as well from who
I
directed
think yeah,
and
I think the main highlight for me is just like once again, this answer might not be what you're expecting. I think the highlight for me is proudly telling people I'm from Singapore, because for the longest time, like I said, people always have the impression that oh you're Asian, you do action, you must be from Hong Kong, and that kind of stuff. Like Singapore is like the last thing on people's minds. You know, that kind of thing. Like Crazy Rich Asian is the only thing that people is associating us with now. So I
right?
think the highlight for me is going there and telling people, hi, I'm Jonathan, I'm from Singapore, because I traveled like 17, 18 hours all the way to London for the festival. I'm it's like I'm proud to tell people where I come from, like my home. So I was telling the festival organizers Wang and Sue, I was like, it's okay if I don't win. I mean, coming here is not to win. Um coming here itself is the win itself.
Yeah,
It's not the oh you got best action, you got the fact that I'm here, the fact that people say oh okay you're Singapore, oh Singapore does this kind of stuff. That to me is a big win. That to me it's what I'm here for, to stretch out, to reach as much as possible. Which is why when you say earlier that oh how many festivals you have, how many awards you have, I was like I mean awards is nice. I mean it's a good recognition and good stuff. But to me what's more important is the fact that
you're spreading
if
the
I go
word.
back, it's spreading the word. It's really bringing Singapore to another level. If we talk about action films, I'm pretty sure you heard of Jailbreak,
Yeah,
right? Jailbreak is Cambodia's first action film, and
that also I
it,
like to just put in there.
it
John Paul put out
yeah,
the other day. It looks like that's going to get a sequel as well. It looks like that's going in.
come again.
Sequel to Jailbreak is coming as well. I think.
Jailbreak
Um,
2, right? They're doing.
yeah, yeah. I
Oh
think it's
shit.
going to production. Yeah, he said. I think it was on Twitter or something. He said that this
Yeah,
year it should be going into production,
right.
which
Nice.
is
It's like
amazing.
yes. So honestly speaking, right? Like if I talk about Jailbreak, let's like okay. Um, I mean, I don't I love Cambodians. I really sure Cambodians are nice people. But if I have to honestly like say in terms of like I can't find the right words to say, but let's just say economically, um, Singapore it's has a higher GDP and stuff compared to Cambodia. Cambodia is slightly more towards the third world kind of country, if I can put it that way, right?
Right.
But Cambodia is able to make their own action film. So if sometimes as a Singaporean filmmaker, when I see Thailand as Tony Jaa, when I see Vietnam as the Fury, right, Veronica Nong, if you're sure about that, if you've heard of her, when I see Indonesia have Eco coming out, when I see Cambodia has Jailbreak, I start to wonder, not to compare to East Asian countries, and let's not talk about Japan, Korea, and China, and Hong Kong. We just talk about the countries near Singapore. They are able to make action films, which is why as a Singaporean filmmaker, I get more jealous. I get more like I start to question like why is it that Singapore can't do it? When I see all these people around me doing it, like you say Jailbreak, Cambodia's first action film, John trained, 80, 90
Yeah,
stuntmen.
so none of those people in there they had no
Yes, exactly. So it makes me like, so is it that Singapore can't do it? Why is it that Singapore can't do it? Is it people don't trust us? So your earlier question at the get-go, which is why I make my own films, because I want to be able to tell Singaporeans that there's someone doing it. Like put your faith in Singapore's action, that we can be like Jailbreak. We can have our own Eco. We can have our own Tony Jaa.
Yeah.
Because if not, Singapore is just gonna keep making films and stuff that people don't watch. It's just gonna make me, which is why I'm fighting against odds. Which is why I love Scott, because Scott is fighting against a lot of odds. I'm also fighting against a lot of odds here. Fighting against stereotypes, fighting against people discriminating, looking down on arts here in Singapore. I'm doing whatever I can to try to tell people that Singapore action has a hope that we can also reach the international level, like how these Southeast Asian countries have reached. Which is why, lastly, to answer you again, which is why when you say what's my highlight is to tell people I'm Singaporean. I almost, right, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but I almost bought a Singapore flag to the festival. I was telling myself, like, okay, if I'm gonna win one award, right, I'm not gonna just go up like I'm just gonna carry the flag up and just go up. I know a lot of people is gonna say, oh, you're crazy, like why you bring a flag? It's just a film festival. But to me, it means a lot telling people where I come from. I mean, not to say Singapore's like a poor country, like I need some sympathy. It's just the fact that because Singapore don't get attention for stuff like this, and I find I need to represent. So yeah,
patriotic. There you go. That's a good enough reason to do what you're doing, isn't it? So
yeah.
So what's next then? You say you got another film coming up, and
So right now in mid-February I'm flying to Malaysia to film. I'm casted in a Malaysian action film. So that's one as an
very
actor.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Then subsequently after I'm back, I'll be producing my 10th action film. It's gonna be so you have seen all my so you have known of all my 9 films.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a remake of one of them.
Oh, okay. I'll take you can't say which one.
Yeah, I can't say which one. Yeah. So I'm preparing to do my next one, and not only just making a short film. So that film I will be sending it to commission to try to make it into a feature film.
Oh, exciting.
It's either that,
yeah.
it's either that, or I'm pushing for Netflix. We shall see how it goes. So that's my next few plans for now, and yeah.
Wow. So that's it looks like the future's escalating. It looks like you're doing what you want to do, doesn't it?
Yeah, trying my best, and yeah, and most importantly is to fly to the UK more often, like I said, and collaborate. I try to expand my career to the UK as an actor as well, if I can. But we shall see how it goes, because like I said, fate, it's all fated. I mean, we can't control. So just go with the flow. I mean, if I can collaborate with people like you or anyone else that I know of, like a Singapore UK collaboration, I mean, that is gonna be perfectly fun as well for me. So
let's leave this space open then, shall we? And see.
Yeah, let's
in there.
manifest it to the universe, and then we will see how it goes. Yeah, and turn up, appear more for more subsequent Fighting Spirit Film Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for your time. I'm sure once it gets released for public, spread the word. I'll share it wherever I can. But
awesome. Thank you
for
so
Vengeance,
much.
as I said, I've seen it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the nods. Again, you've done a great job.
Thank you so much. For those people who is watching this Zoom, please support Combat Zone as well.
Oh, thank you
Colin
very
is in it
much.
as
Oh, there you
well.
go. That's a little.
Yeah.
As well.
I mean, I've
Um,
seen Combat Zone and it's really good. So you guys can also support those who are watching this Zoom. So
well,
yeah.
thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm very active there. It's got my Instagram is Cheong, JCHEONG 97. So I mainly upload all my stuff there. I'm most active there. Facebook is okay. Not very active, but I'm still active. So Jonathan Cheong. And if you want to find about Raging Fire Productions, you can find me. You can find the productions channel on YouTube, just Raging Fire Productions. And
And there's
yeah,
also
that's pretty much.
you've also got Raging Fire on Instagram as well, haven't you? I think that's
Yes. So Raging Fire Productions is also on Instagram as well. And yeah, so for Bullet for Vengeance, it will be screened on, I mean, released, I would say, on YouTube, on Raging Fire Productions channel in late March period.
late March.
Our release, yeah, it's gonna be on the same weekend or same week when John Wick 4 is released.
Oh,
So,
okay, right. Well, as
yeah,
I say, we will share that as soon as
thank you
it's
so much.
available. John, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's been great.
Thank you so much for this. Yeah,
We get you back on in the future for your next project.
sure, sure.
Yep. Thanks
Yeah.
very much. Speak to you soon.
Thank you, Colin.